Hello and welcome to Arsenal Analysed. I'm JC. I hope you're well. And in this video, I will break down why Arsenal want to sign Darwin Nunez, going through all of the important information, of course, in the very first episode in a new series, the Arsenal Scout Report. Now, if you do go on to enjoy today's video, a like would be super appreciated. And if you're new around here, why not consider subscribing, as it massively helps me out. But what will we be covering in this new series on the channel? Let's run through it now. So the agenda for this video is profile, the basics, just to get to know the player in a little bit more detail. Then we'll be having a look at his movement, his heat maps over the last few seasons, and comparing him to a few players in the process. Then we'll crunch some numbers. What has he achieved this season? How does that compare to the likes of Lacazette, for example? And then finally, to finish up, we'll go through some of his strengths and weaknesses and how he fares against other strikers in the Portuguese league. So let's waste no more time at all and jump straight into those basics. So he plays for Benfica. He signed the summer before last for somewhere in the region of £22 million. And it is said to believe that Benfica will be commanding a fee of somewhere in the region of £50 to £67 million should they part with a player. So a fairly decent profit. Even West Ham had a bid knocked back of £42 million in January, and Newcastle were also rumoured to be interested, but didn't feel like they could get a deal done. He is 22 years old, so plenty of room to grow. He's already a full Uruguayan international who can play a number of positions, but most comfortably as a striker. He has featured several times on the left-hand side this season, similar to another player who was at Arsenal and was very successful up top. But he also likes to play as a second striker, a partner, if you will. Right-footed, very tall at 6'2", so different to what we currently have in Lacazette. And as already mentioned, all the power is with Benfica on this one because his contract runs until 2025. So that's one of the reasons why they're looking to command such a high fee, coupled with his fantastic hot form this season, of course. But let's have a little look at how this player likes to operate on the football pitch. So as we can see here, both this season and last season, not only does he like to drop deep, which is great because we see a lot of that in Lacazette, and also Firmino, who is a very good example of another number 9 in the Premier League who has won titles. But he does situate himself more to the left-hand side as opposed to centrally. And going back to what I mentioned just a moment ago, a certain Henry had a very similar playing style. I'm not saying that he's going to reach those heights, but we're very much used to bringing players in comfortable on the left and pinging those balls into the top bins with his right foot. Now, one thing I will say is this will create overloads on the left-hand side, and it will also drag centre-backs out, creating space for those wingers, which we already know Arsenal like to do when Lacazette drops deep and plays in more of that diamond. We've also seen more recently as well that Arsenal do create overloads on the left, creating space for Saka to ping those long diagonals. So this will play into Arsenal hands even more. Another big plus is that he does like to arrive late in the box on the left-hand side, and he scored the most headed goals in the Portuguese this season with 4. And we do know that Arsenal do record high numbers when it comes to crosses. Unfortunately, we just don't have the player with that type of appetite at the moment. Now, if we have a very quick look at the likes of Lacazette and Firmino, 2 number 9s in the Premier League at the moment, very, very much central and deep, like Nunez, for example. If we can replicate that sort of movement on the pitch, I think he could potentially be a very successful player. So moving into some of the statistics behind these players, how does he compare to what we already have and another very successful number 9 in the Premier League? So 22 games this season. I think it's 19 starts and 3 substitute appearances, 20 goals and 2 assists. So he's averaging a goal contribution of sorts every single game. 64 pass completion accuracy. So yes, the lowest on this list, but by no means is it a million miles away. He's also created around 23 chances this season. So again, he's creating at least 1 chance per game, completing 50% of his dribbles. Aerially, he's the highest on this list. He completes around 36% of his aerial battles, 47% of his ground duels, and discipline-wise, not too bad either. No red cards this season in the league campaign, but picking up 5 along the way. Now, how does this compare to the likes of what we've already got and another successful number 9 in the Premier League? So him and Lacazette have both played a similar amount of games, but we can see here straight away that Nunez has scored significantly more, and that is something that we do need in this Arsenal team. And there were big question marks that if we don't go out and sign a similar player to Lacazette, are we going to lose goals in midfield and out wide? And I think Nunez could bring both potentially. Lacazette has obviously provided a lot of assists this season, one of the big pluses of his game. But when we look at Firmino, for example, played significantly less games than Lacazette and has chipped in with more goals, a much higher passing completion accuracy as well, but not as good when it comes to creating chances for others. So maybe if we could get a mold of the both, we'll have to wait and see. So let's have a look at the strengths and weaknesses of Nunez. So straight away here, we can see finishing. I've mentioned in brackets here, ranged. And what I mean by that is he can score goals from long distance. He can score goals with his head. He's a great guy in the box as well. Really adapted for that sort of football. Really good dribbler. One of his main strengths is when he's got the ball at his feet. He loves to run at defenders, and that is an absolute nightmare when it comes to centre-backs. He's also very quick, really quick turn off the ball as well, and that is probably his main attribute, if I'm honest with you. And to have someone this fast and this tall and also very strong is a huge asset. In fact, in the Champions League this season, he managed to clock a speed of 36.5 kilometers per hour, which is faster than Salah and Mbappe, who respectively clocked up 34.5 and 33.5 kilometers per hour. So he knows how to move, which is really good. However, some of his weaknesses, unfortunately, is his passing and his first touch, which is quite important and something that Lacazette does really well, and Firmino to an extent with his passing. Decision-making is something that he certainly needs to improve on. There have been cases where he should have maybe passed the ball earlier or maybe passed the ball instead of shooting. But at such a young age, at 22, a very raw talent, and under Arteta, he could potentially have all of that worked out of him and reach those heights that everyone expects. And also offside awareness, which isn't the worst in the world. That is certainly something that Arteta could work on. Now, on the left-hand side, we can see here a graph that shows his attributes in the Portuguese league and how it compares to all of the other forwards. So if we have a look here, for example, Darwin Nunez is in the top 91% for open play shots, top 98% for non-penalty XG. So some really good promising numbers there. XG per shot is over 93%. Open play expected assists, top 96%. So these touches are unbelievable. And also we've got deep touches here, top 97%. So that's sort of in and around the opposition's box. So a very dangerous player. But if you want to pause and have a little look into that in a bit more detail, you're more than welcome. But that is going to about wrap up today's assessment of Darwin Nunez, a player that is chased by many around Europe. Arsenal, not the only team in the Premier League looking at him. There is also West Ham, Newcastle, Manchester United and Chelsea. Abroad, there's AC Milan, Dortmund and Bayern Munich. So a lot of big teams, and it's going to command a big fee. But Arsenal are said to be looking to make a marquee signing in the summer. Will Arteta go for him or one of the 4 or 5 other strikers that we've been often linked with? But as I always say, if you have enjoyed today's video, a like would be super appreciated. And if you're new around here, please do consider subscribing. I'm less than 10 away from 1,200 subscribers. It will be a great deal of help. But for now, I'm JC, and I will catch you in the next one. Stay safe and take care.